I want to, at this point, just pause to thank all of you for these great questions. I obviously haven't covered anywhere near all of them. Time doesn't permit it. Many good questions presented this evening. We're going to go to each of our teams again, and starting with the affirmative group, you each have 5 minutes as a team to make a closing statement.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have seen a fundamental transformation of America. Traditional values are disappearing. Congress is not beholden to the American people. The states no longer influence federal policy. The federal courts are not beholden to the American people. They do not base their decisions on the U.S. Constitution. Unelected bureaucrats are not beholden to the American people. Administrative regulations have the impact of law. Our education system is indoctrinating our youth at an alarming rate. 50 million people are enrolled in K-12. The Constitution of the United States is no longer recognizable. It continues to grow at an alarming rate. And here's what you see today. Nearly 3,000 pages. So what are some remedies proposed by our opponents? Properly educate Americans. Numerous organizations are emphasizing constitutional studies. Elect the right people. We need to primary everyone with Tea Party advocates. Tell the federal officials to abide by the Constitution. Hold them accountable by petitioning and assembling. Nullify federal laws and decisions that we deem unconstitutional. Get states to band together against federal tyranny. Do nothing. We don't want to upset the apple cart. There's really nothing wrong. We can accept conditions as they are today. Well, we argue against those remedies. Educating is great, but it can't compete with government indoctrination, probably reaching less than 1% of public school enrollees. Electing good people is great, but what has it done in the last 10 years? How about the last 100? No matter the election results, nothing seems to change. Federal officials are abiding by the Constitution, but what if they don't? They are, in fact, abiding by the Constitution. That's the Constitution that they've sworn their oath to. Constitution annotated in the Supreme Court allow virtually anything. Nullification is good in a limited way, but what if everyone doesn't agree? It's too unpredictable, temporary, and chaotic. Look at the marijuana laws in this country. Look at sanctuary cities. Doing nothing is perhaps the worst thing we can do. Expansion of the federal Leviathan will continue unabated. So, our case for an Article 5 convention. Guess what? It's in the Constitution. It's there for a reason. It's not there to ignore. That is the part of the document. It has the potential to produce effective policy. Very key note to make. Effective policy. It empowers the states like nothing else. It has strong grassroots support. The Convention of States project exists in every state. It is the only effective way to reverse federal law and court decisions. No state law can change what we now have. There is no better alternative. No other so-called conservative group has a better answer. Republicans control sufficient state legislatures to make it happen. As I said, we're at 31 and we're pushing for more. So what's the way forward? Our opponents here are part of a group of anti-constitutionalists. The Patriot Coalition claims they strictly adhere to the Constitution, except for parts of Article 5. The Constitution Party says it stands for states' powers, except for a convention for proposing amendments. The John Birch Society is all about educating and activating Americans, except in regard to a convention for proposing amendments. Oath Keepers is about convincing others to defend the Constitution, except the parts they don't like. So by opposing Article 5 convention, they all actually oppose the Constitution itself. Shall we stand with such as these? We cannot accept such undermining of our constitutional republic. We need an Article 5 convention for proposing amendments today. Let's look to Patrick Henry, who was for state sovereignty. In supporting the revolution, why stand we here idle? What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. And then in opposing the Constitution itself, He did not believe in it because he thought it gave too much authority to a central government. And so in his final words before the Virginia Convention in the ratification process, he stated, "I wish not to go to violence, but will wait with hope that the spirit which predominated in the revolution is not yet gone, nor the cause of those who are attached to the revolution not yet lost. I shall therefore wait in expectation of seeing that government changed so as to be compatible with the safety, liberty, and happiness of the people." Thank you very much.
I, like a lot of people here, have taken an oath. I, like a lot of people here, have taken an oath to support and defend this against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Not once did I take an oath to that book. That book is the Constitution with notes. That's what annotated means, with notes. Notes of the history of the abuses of it, because we, the people, have failed to do our duty. Taking an oath to uphold this requires a personal working knowledge of it. To take that oath without a working knowledge, not of that big fat book, but of the Constitution, is perjury. Plain and simple. We do not need, and I reject and resent Mr. Dietrich suggesting that I'm against the Constitution. I have never said once that I oppose Article 5. I oppose using it today for the reason suggested. It's the wrong solution to the wrong problem. The problem's in the mirror, people. We're the problem because we won't uphold it. It won't uphold itself. And changing the words on it won't make the people in Richmond or Washington, D.C. follow some new magical words. This is pretty clear. It's just that simple. Read it. It means what it says, and it says what it means. You don't need that fat book to hide behind for not upholding an oath to this.
James Madison put it this way: the powers of the government are clear and defined, not that book. We have a crisis here. We don't have state. There won't be a battle of states. There'll be a battle between the Democrat and Republican parties if we don't stop them. They're going to take our rights away. Some of the proposed amendments that they didn't mention to you, an amendment clarifying the meaning of the Second Amendment, an amendment removing the Second Amendment. This is what we're at stake. All of our Bill of Rights. They claim that they defend the Constitution. We support Article 5. The way they've done it 200 plus years. Amending the Constitution. What's wrong with putting an amendment, pushing Congress and your buddies in the Republican Party to push the amendments in the other states to get it past Congress and then go to the states? That's the old way is the right way.